Hi, sir. Good evening. Sir, am I audible? Right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the confirmation. So yesterday we have started 6:15 batch for the main DevOps course. Okay. Still there is chance. Okay. If you want to join the class, okay. Still there is chance to join because yesterday we have finished only just introduction to the Ansible. That's it. Okay. Now discuss about some theory part about Ansible. Still, if you guys are really interested, okay. So to get the registration link, go ahead and contact the management on these numbers. Okay. So still there is chance, sir. Right, sir? Yes. Just introduction to the Ansible house. Okay. Um, so if you want to continue with that as well, just go ahead and contact with the management to get the link. Okay. Right, sir. So what we have discussed yesterday, sir. So what we have discussed yesterday, we have discussed yesterday about version control systems, right? Version control system. So what is version control system? So version control system is a mechanism to store. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah. So version control system is a mechanism to store or source code or else the application oriented code along with different versions of the code. Okay. To break the point. Version control system stores source code of an application with different versions of, okay, you can roll back to the previous versions. Any. Okay. Right. So it is a way of storing data. Version control system means it is a way of storing data uh, with different versions of the data. Okay, so it stores the data in a timeline based. Okay, so that you can go back to any of the timeline at any given point of time. Hmm. Now, how many types of version control systems do we have? Okay, how many types of version control systems we have? How many types of version control systems do we have? Sir, I want answer from you. How many types of version control systems we have? Hmm? Yes. What are those two? What are those two types? Centralized version control systems centralized version control systems and distributed version control systems. Right? So what is centralized version control systems? So what is centralized version control systems and how it looks like? Okay. So the developers would be connecting to a remote server okay. Nice. Yeah. Um, yes. So, yeah. Just a minute. So the developers would be connecting to a remote server. Okay. They would be creating one repository over there. So yesterday we have seen the difference between a directory and repository. Directory means it stores only the current version. It stores only the current version of the data. But repository means it contains all the versions of the data. Okay. So what are the code that these developers will develop? They will develop in their local machines and they will be uploading the code to this remote repository. Right? So this is what it was happening. So this is what was happening with the centralized version control systems. Okay. So if the network connection to the remote server is down, or else if the remote server got failed, or the database or the disk got crashed, okay, these persons would be losing the data. There are so many chances that are losing the data, right? Because they are storing entire data in a single remote server. This is what the centralized version control system. Okay. So what is distributed version control system? So what is the example of the centralized version control system, sir? What is the example of the centralized version control system? SVN or CVS. Okay. No. So what is distributed version control system? So in distributed version control system, okay. So people will be having one local repository here. That is what the key difference. Okay. So along with the remote repository, people would be having a local repository over here. Okay. Now try to understand this point, sir. Okay. So developer number one would be writing code over here in his local machine. Okay. So once he has finished writing the code in his local machine, what he will do? He will commit that code into the local repository. Okay. So this point I have added today, because already you know this point yesterday. Okay. Already you know how it works, the centralized version control system, how it works yesterday. But today I'm just elaborating a little bit. Okay. So what developer would be doing? He would be writing his code in a directory, in a working directory. Okay. So just forget about the names. Okay. He would be writing his code and then he would be committing the code into the local repository so that the code will be available over here. Okay, and then he will be pushing the code. He will be pushing the code to the remote repository from the local machine, from the local repository. Okay. Okay, from local repository, he will be pushing the code to the remote repository so that the developer number 1 code will be available over here. So likewise, okay, here developer number 2, he didn't have the code of developer number 1, right? So before writing the code, first what he will do is he will pull the code from remote repository where the developer number 1 file is there into his local repository, Okay, clear, sir? He will be pull the code. So technically it is called as fetching the code from remote repository to his local repository, from here to his local working directory, okay, his local development place, okay, into his project directory. He will merge the code. So that he will be having developer number 1 code in his local machine as well. Okay, so developer number 2 today, he will be writing the file number 2 over here. Okay, and then he will commit the code into the local repository. Okay, so this is what this is called as where are the terms? So it is what it is called as, okay, so this process is called as committing. Okay, so you'll be committing the code into the local repository. Okay, I'm writing a shortcut name, committing means CMT. Okay, so from here, so that this local repository would be having the 2 files over here. Okay, so he would be pushing that code from local repository to the remote repository so that my remote repository would be having the 2 files over here. Okay, but developer number 1 is not having the developer number 2's file, right? So what developer number 2 will do, he will fetch the code. Into his local repository. Okay, here it is called as fetch. Okay, he will fetch the code into his local machine. Okay, into his local, and then from here he will merge the code into his working directory so that he would be having the developer number 2 files in his working directory as well. Okay, now today whatever the code that developer number 1 will write, yes, of course he will write the code, and then he will commit the code into the local repository, and then he will be pushing that code into the remote repository. Okay, so like this the entire process would be happening with, especially with Git, or especially with the distributed version control systems. Okay, so if connection to this remote repository got lost, okay, so no need to worry, because everyone is having the entire code in their machines. These people are having a copy of the source code. So okay, if the network connectivity of the remote server got lost, no need to worry. They can connect to any other server. Okay, they can take any other server. Within this server, they can create one more remote repository. Okay, so people can push the code from local repository to this remote repository, so that these developers will be from now onwards connecting to this machine. Okay, they will be pushing the code to this machine, and they will be pulling the code from this machine. Okay, this is how we can provide high availability for the source code. Okay, so with the distributed version control system, we can provide high availability to the source code, right? Sir, is this clear? Sir, up to here, you guys are clear or not? Is this clear? Is this clear? Very good, sir. Okay. Now just observe these points. Okay. Um, so this remote server, okay, that means the server. Just a minute, sir. Okay. Right, sir. Okay. So this is what a remote server, right? This remote server is actually called as. So I'm using a Linux machine, right? So MS Paint will not work over here. Okay. So that's not the problem. Right. Let me take this one. Okay. So within the developer's machine, they would be having a local repository and a working directory, right? Okay. So, and within the remote repository or within the remote server, within the remote server, they would be having one remote repository for this project, right? This is what remote repository. Okay. So like this for this project, okay. So this repository is, you can name project one. Okay. Let's say this repository is belongs to project one, so that all the developers of project one, can be connected to this particular repository to push the code. Okay, to maintain the code like this. Okay. So like this, company contains not only one single project, right? It may contain multiple projects. Right? So for another project, they would be opening one more remote repository over here. For another project, they would be opening one more remote repository over here. Okay. Let's say this is project number 2. This is project number 2. So all the developers who are belongs to this project number 2 would be connecting to this repository. Okay, the developers who are responsible to develop the product for this project 2 would be connecting to this server. Okay, would be connected to this particular server. Okay, which contains all the source code repositories. Okay, so this particular server, which contains all the source code repositories, okay, is called as a Git server. Okay, it's called as a Git server. It is called as Git server. Okay, it is called as Git server. This particular server is called as Git server. Okay, this particular server is called as Git servers. Okay, now so in order to connect with the Git server, people should be having, they should have Git client in their local machines. They should have Git client in their local machines. Okay. In order to connect to the Git server, they should have Git client in their local machines. Okay. So that Git client, in order to have the Git client, we should install a software called Git. We should install a software called Git in the local machine. We should install a software called Git in the local machines. Okay. We should install a software called Git in our local machines. Okay. So in order to create a repositories like this, okay, in order to create a working directory as well as a local repository, for this we need to install Git software in our local machines. Okay, so all the developers, so in the developers laptop, they should be having Git. They should be having, okay, they having Git client. Git client means they should be having Git related softwares over here in their local machines. Okay. So clear up to here? So you guys clear up to here? What is this? Stored diagrams.net. Okay, let me see. So you guys clear up to here? What is this, sir? Save diagrams to. Okay. How to write text in this? Text here. Okay. Okay. Right. So, anyways, okay. So we have. So observe, sir. So observe, sir. Okay. Um, so now we have two machines, right? So we have two servers. Okay. We have two servers. Say server 1 and server 2, right? We have two machines, server 1 and server 2. Okay, now we have two machines, as server 1, server 2. Right? So consider one more server. Consider we have one more server called as server 3. Called as server 3. Okay. So now what we are going to do is, okay. So we are going to configure this server 1. Now we are going to configure this server 1 as Git server. Okay, we are going to configure this server 1 as Git server. Okay, we are going to configure this server 1 as Git server, and this server 2 and server 3 we are going to configure these two servers as clients. Okay, these two servers as clients. We are going to configure these two servers are clients to this Git server. Okay, so we would be creating one remote repository. We would be creating one remote repository in our server 1, okay, and then we would be creating a local repositories in server 2 and server 3. Okay, so before doing this, okay, so example for this one is Git, right? So let me start my servers first. So meanwhile, the server is getting launched. Okay. So my plan is, let's try to perform, or let's try to cover all the concepts of Git within 3 ways. Okay. So within a 3 ways, we are going to do this version control system. Okay. We are going to learn different commands with 3 different ways. The first one is, okay, first we are going to learn the basic commands by performing, let's say, single user, let's say, for single user purpose. Okay, let's say only you are working on your some personal from some local project. Okay, so for your project, okay, some for your work or some your application, you want to store the data. Okay, so you want to store, or you want to have, or you want to use the Git features for your single purpose, for the single user purpose. Okay, so within your local machine, you want to install Git. Okay, so you want to check different versions of your data. So you want to maintain different versions of your data in your local machine. Okay, this is completely for local purpose. Okay, so here we try to learn some commands, and then, okay, here we'll try to learn for multiple user purpose. The second way, multiple user purpose. So here we are going to create one Git server like this. Okay, so we are going to create one remote Git server, and then on server 1 and server 2, or server 2 and server 3, we configure our server 2 and server 3 as our clients for our project. Okay, so on server 2 as user Mohan. Okay, and then we would be uploading that files to server 1, and server 3 we would be, let's say some other developer is working on the server 3. Let's say the username is Madhuri. Okay, so Madhuri will be upgrading the files to this remote server. Okay, this is what the second way, like multiple users. Here server 2 and server 3. On server 2, user let's say Mohan is working. On server 3, let's say user Madhuri is working. Okay, so we'll configure Git server or server 1 as Git server, and we'll configure server 2 and server 3 as our clients for our project. Okay, this is the second way. And the third way is, okay, so I don't want to maintain this Git server. Okay, I don't want to maintain this Git server on my local machine. I don't want to maintain this Git server on my local machine. I don't want to maintain this Git server in my local premises. I want to say in my premises. Okay, I don't want to maintain this in my local premises. Okay, so I want to go for some other third party. I want to go for the third party server where someone would be having the Git server's features. Okay, I don't want to maintain my own Git server. Okay, some third party would be providing this Git server's features, where I can create my remote repository over there. I can create my project remote repository over there, so that from my server 2 and server 3, I can go ahead and connect to that. Connect to that server. Okay, this is the third way. Okay, now who is this third party who are providing this Git server feature? Okay, now I don't want to maintain the burden of my own Git server, on-premise Git server. Okay, so some other third parties are there who will be providing their Git servers for rent to us. Okay, who would be providing this Git server features? Who would be providing this Git server features? Okay, I don't want to maintain my own Git server. There are some third parties who are already there, or who are providing their Git servers for rent to us, so that we can go directly go there, and from our local machines we can go ahead and connect to that remote server as a remote repositories. Okay, so now who are these third parties who are providing these Git servers features? Those third party servers are, you might heard these names. You might have heard these names. The third party servers. The third party Git server. Like GitHub. You might have heard these names. GitHub, Bitbucket. So what are these things? GitHub, Bitbucket. Okay, these are third party servers, third party Git servers, which are placed in their own premises. Okay, so instead of creating one more server and managing that server, manage the configurations of that server, managing the networking connections to that server, okay, what I'll do, simply I'll go for the third party services option. Okay, so GitHub is a company who are providing their Git server to, they are providing their Git server to the rent. Okay, they would be having one server for rent, so that anyone can open an account over there, and then they can go ahead and create their project repositories over there within that server. Okay, so we are going to talk about that one as well. Okay, so we are going to talk about Gitbucket, not Bitbucket. We are going to talk about GitHub. Okay, so how to create or how to connect to that GitHub server, the third party server, how to create an account of our account over there, and then how to create or how to connect to our project repositories, which are there in Bitbucket. Okay, how to create repositories over there in GitHub, and then how to connect to that GitHub from our local machines. Okay, this is the third way of doing the version control systems. Okay, so like this, step by step, you would be learning all these things. Okay, so here we'll learn some basic commands, and then here we'll learn some other commands. Okay, here we would be learning some other commands. Total. Okay, so finally we will be completing all those commands. Okay, all the Git related commands. Okay, which are necessary for DevOps engineers. Okay, sir, is it clear? Is it clear with everyone what we are going to do now? Sir, is it clear with everyone? Right? Good. Good. So if it is distributed and copies are maintained at each terminal, why is a server is required? So not only 2 persons are there, right? So many persons would be there, right? So from this local machine, Chandramouli. Okay. So from this local machine, from this local repository, so from this local repository, okay, so from this local repository, how the files will be copied to, okay, how you will send that to another person's local repository, how you will send this one to your local repository, to others local repositories. Okay, so if you develop some code today, let's say if you have developed some code, okay, you have committed that code to your local repository, then you need to send that code to all other persons who are there in your who belongs to your current project. Okay, so you need to send to all the persons local. So developer number 2, he needs to send code from his local repository to all the other people, right? Again, it will be a hectic process or not? So instead of each person sending copies to all other people, they have taken one remote location, one central place where they will be keeping their files to this remote server. Okay, so wherever developer 1 finished, instead of sending this code to everyone, what he's doing, he will be pushing into one central place, so that all the developers codes will be available here. Okay, if any new person joined, okay, remember this situation, sir. If any new developer joined in the company, okay, if this person wants the code of the project, okay, then from each and every person should send their code from their local machines. Okay, assume that 100 developers are working in the project. So all 100 developers need to send the code from their local repositories to here into his local repository. Instead of that, if all these persons can maintain one remote repository directly, these developer can able to push that code, can have to pull that code into his local machine or not. Chandramouli, is it clear? Local repository, the code will be in your laptop like that. Okay, so assume that some 10 people are working, so the code will be in their local repositories. So if I finish my code, how I can be able to send to remaining 9 people? Got a point or not? So instead of sending my code to all the 10 people manually at a time, single time, I am sending my code to the remote server. Okay, I'm putting my code somewhere else into a remote location where all other people can able to connect. Okay, so once I will push the code into the remote repository so that all other people can fetch the code like this. Okay, so you finish your code, so all the other people can pull the code. Okay, if some other have some code, he push the code to the remote repository, so all other people will fetch the code from the remote place. Okay. So why you are asking Praveen this question? What is the difference between centralized and distribution version control system? I started the class with that only, right? So did you join late or what? Huh? Sir, I am not responsible if you join late to the class. So the key difference here, sir, the difference between, he is asking the difference between the centralized version control system and the distributed version control system. The only key difference is what? Here, in centralized version control systems, you won't be having a local repository. You won't be having a local repository. Okay, you would be developing code over here. Okay, and then you would be pushing that file to the remote repository. Okay, if the connection is lost, you will be losing the entire code. Okay, so all the persons, they won't be having their local repositories. Okay, that is what the only difference between centralized and distributed version control system. Okay, so with distributed version control systems, each and every person will be having a local repositories. So in these local repositories, everybody is having the entire code, which contains which this remote repository contains. Is that clear? Is that clear, Praveen? Is that clear? Yes, there will be only one server. There will be only one server. Okay, there will be only one server. But here, in each and developer's laptop or in each and every machine of the developers, they would be having one more repository called as local repository. Okay, as I said, okay, so the process would be like this. The process will be like this, sir. Okay, so the developer number one, assume that the developer number one has written some code into his local machine. What is this? Okay, developer number one has written some code into his local machine. Okay, so what he needs to do from his local machine, assume that this is developer number one. Okay, so within this developer number one's laptop, you would be having, okay, this is called working directory. So within the working directory, he would be writing the files. Okay, so once he has written the files, he would be committing that code to the local repository. As I said, to the local repository. So this local repository would be having the developer numbers 1 code here. Okay. So from this local repository, the developer number 1 would be pushing the code to the remote server. Okay. Remote Git server. Within this remote Git server, there would be one repository for their project. Okay. So they would be pushing that code to this remote repository, so that this remote repository contains developer. Okay, like this developer number 2 also would be there, right? Okay, he also having his working directory. So within his working directory, he would be having, okay, he might write file number 2, right? But he won't be having file number 1 into his local repository. Okay, here also he won't be having file number 1 into his local repository, right? Because file number 1 has written by developer number 1, which is there in developer numbers 1 local repository, as well as the code is there in the remote repository, right? The file number 1 is there, which is developed by developer number 1. It is there in the local repository as well as the remote repository. So developer number 2, what he will do? He needs to fetch the code into the local repository, so that the developer number 2 is also having the developer's number 1 code. Okay, then he needs to push his file number 2 into he need to commit his file number 2 into this local repository, so that 2 files would be there in their local repository, and then he would be pushing these 2 files into the remote repository, so that my remote repository contains these 2 files. Okay. So assume that if the network connectivity to this server lost, or this server is down, okay, this developer number 2 is having a copy or not. Okay, so that they can take one more server. So within that server, they can create one more repository, and then they can push this code to that repository, right? So the code is available in developer number 2's laptop, right? Are you getting my point or not? So like this. Okay. Now here within this example, just observe, sir. Okay, so pushing the code to the remote repository, so that the remote repository contains 2 files, but the developer numbers 1 local machine is having only 1 file, right? So what this developer number 1 needs to do? He needs to fetch the code. He needs to fetch the code into his local repository, so that he can contain developers number 2 files as well. Okay, so within the working directory, now developer number 1 might write some other file. That's a file number 3. So file number 3 will be pushed to or committed into his local repository, so that developer number 1 will be having 3 files, right? So he will be pushing that code to the remote repository, so that my remote repository now contains 3 files. So developer number 2 would be needs to fetch the code, so that developer number 2 also would be having all the 3 files in their local repository. If you can remember, or if you can observe, okay. So in their local repositories, in each and every developers in their local machines, they would be having local repositories, right? So along with the remote repository, they are having local repositories. Okay. So within this local repository, they are storing some data, right? So if the network connectivity or if the remote server is down, they don't need to worry about losing the entire data. They would be having a copy of the data in their local machines, right? This is how the distributed version control system is different from the centralized version control systems. Okay, this is how you can provide high availability in the distributed version control system. Is it clear, Praveen? Is it clear, Praveen? Yes, entire code will be available in his local machine. Okay, you can think it as a client. You can think each and every machine as a client to the Git server. Okay, right. So you can think your project, your remote repository is Git server machine. Okay, so your local machine is, you can treat your each and every local machine as a client machine, right? Yes, yes, no. Each and every machine is not a server. Each and every machine is a client machine. Only the remote server is called as a Git server. Okay, Chandramouli? Right, Praveen. Very good. Right. Um, so let me connect to server number 1 first. So as I said, first we'll see the single user purpose. Okay, here we'll learn some basic commands. Okay, let's say only one single person is working on upon a project. Okay, so if you how we can be able to maintain, let's go ahead and see that one. Okay, for single user purpose. For the single user purpose means no need to maintain the remote server. Okay, only the local machine. Okay, how to set up a local repository. This is what we are seeing now. Okay, up to here. Okay, right? So this server is down actually for now. I don't know. Okay. I think they'll fix this issue by tomorrow, so you won't get this problem, this paint problem by tomorrow. Okay, hopefully. Yeah. So all my sessions are now available on YouTube, sir. Okay, so they have uploaded all uploaded these sessions on YouTube yesterday or today. So if you want, you can go ahead and recap. If you miss any sessions, or if you want to recap the sessions, go ahead and check in the YouTube. Okay, our YouTube channel is what? Satya Technologies. So all the previous sessions are available in the YouTube channel. We'll go ahead and quickly connect to this. Right, sir. So let me switch as user Mohan. Okay, let's say if Mohan user is working on a project. Okay, so he wants to maintain different versions of his code locally. Okay, so first Mohan started his work by creating a project directory. Okay, so mkdir, let's name it as my project. Okay, let's name it as my project. So he went to his my project directory. Okay, you guys clear up to here? Mohan wanted to maintain one local repository. Okay, so only Mohan would be working in this project. So he has created a directory to maintain the source code of their project, and Mohan changed his path into the directory. So currently Mohan is under this my project. Okay, so till now this my project is a normal directory. Okay, normal directory as a Git repository. Okay, as a repository. How to convert this normal directory as a source code repository? Okay, if you want to convert it, you need to say git init. Okay, you need to enter a command git init. First, create a project. Go to that. Create a directory. Go to that directory. Okay, convert that directory into a source code repository. How to convert? You need to enter this command git init into that project directory. Sir, before performing this, okay. So yesterday or day before yesterday, I asked you to install Git on this server. So if you want to initialize Git in this, or if you want to convert any directory into a source code repository, into a Git repository, first thing is you need to have Git installed in your machine. You need to have Git installed in your machine. Okay. So first go ahead and let me check that one, sir, whether I have a Git installed in this machine or not. Yes, I have Git here. Okay. So before working with Git, what you need to do, you need to install Git first. How to install Git? As I said in the previous class, first go ahead and install Git. Okay, go ahead and install Git. Sir, is it clear? I hope everyone has installed Git in your local machines. So Git software is required in order to work with Git, right? Git software is required, right? Yes. So if you haven't installed Git, first try installing Git. Okay. So first step is install Git. So once you have installed Git, okay, so create your project directory and then go to your project directory. Till now, it is a normal directory. Okay, which contains only the current versions. Okay. Now, if you want to convert it as a source code repository, okay, if you want to convert it as a Git repository, so what you need to do? You need to enter this command git init. Observe, sir. Now what is saying, sir? Initialized empty Git repository in your current project directory, and then it has created one directory with the name .git. .git means it is one hidden directory. Okay. So let me go ahead and go to the directory cd.git and see the files. So it has some files and directories over there into the directory. Okay, here we don't need to worry about anything. We have initialized Git in this directory, right? Okay, now this normal directory converted as Git repository. Okay, this Git repository will maintain different versions of your source code. You don't need to worry about anything. Okay, you don't need to worry about anything, sir. So I am just going back. So don't do anything in this .git repository. Don't do anything. Okay, it is configured as a hidden directory. Why? You should not do anything in this because it is maintained. All these files are here for its local mechanism. Okay, for the mechanism of Git, it has created some files and directories. Okay, you need not worry about all these files, or you don't need to modify any of these files. Okay, only few steps, sir. First thing is what? Go ahead and install Git. So where I am doing, sir? Where I am doing this one? On server 1. On server 1, go ahead and install Git as a root user. Install Git. So once it is done, switch as user, the user account which you have in your local machines. Okay. So here create a directory. Let's say project 1. I'll put the same name. Okay. Let's say my project, and then cd to your project. Okay. So till now it is a normal directory. Now how can you able to convert this normal directory into a source code repository? Just one step. Say git init. Nothing to worry, sir. Nothing to worry. Just install git init. Just initialize with the git init, the command. Okay. Now your normal directory converted as a source code repository. We'll see now. Okay. So what is the difference between the directory and the source code repository? Okay. We'll see now. Yesterday we have discussed about this point, right? So normal directory contains only the current versions of the code, but source code repository contains of the code. Let's see now, sir. Okay. Let's see now the point. Observe, sir. So within my project 1, I have started my work. Let's say I have created file 1. Let's say I have created some file. Okay, I have started working in that file. Say file1.java. I have created some file 1. So currently for my project, I have started working on my project. Okay, so I have created a file. So once I have created this file, okay, let me write something over here, sir. Okay, assume that I have opened the file and say I'm writing something. We say, hi, this is my first line of code. That's first line of Java code, something. First line of Python code, something. Okay. So assume that I have written some code. So once you have written a code, then what you need to do is, okay, you need to add this file one. Whenever you have created any new file, okay, you need to add that file to Git. Okay, so that you are telling to Git that you need to track this file in this directory. Okay, so whenever you create any new file in your source code repository, you need to add that file to Git. Okay, by this command. That means from now onwards, now you are saying that I have created one file. From now onwards, go ahead and track this file. Okay, from now onwards, go ahead and track this file. This is what the meaning. This is what the meaning. Okay, say git add just the file one. So once you add that file to Git, as I said, we need to commit that into a local repository, right? We need to commit that code into a local repository. Okay, so all is working directory, this local repository. So if, okay, it will be available in your working folder itself. Okay, all your working directory and the local repository, everything will be available in your this directory itself, my project. Okay, logically all those things will be available in your my project itself. Okay, because you have installed Git, right? Now Git will logically maintain all those things, the working directory, the local repository. Okay, you don't need to worry about anything. For you, everything will be in this directory. Okay, so whenever you add any file, then you need to enter git commit this command, git commit. That means you are committing the code to the local repository. Okay, git commit -m means a message. Okay, a commit message. You need to provide one commit message. Let's say added file one, added file one, added file one. Okay, now it is saying that okay. So in this server, okay, so many people are working, or so many user accounts are there. Okay, so first go ahead and configure your username and email. Okay, it is saying that go ahead and configure your username and mail ID. So what I need to do is, let's go ahead and configure these things. Okay, let's go ahead and configure these things. First I'll configure my name. Okay, I'll configure my name. Say git config -global user dot name. So what is the username here? Mohan. Now I need to enter this command, git config -global user dot email. I'll say user dot email. I'll say Mohan @ say localhost or server one. Okay, just any email would be fine. Okay. Let me write these 2 points over here. So in this server, so many user accounts are there, right? So now Git is asking that. Okay, so after creating my project, okay, just go ahead and enter these commands. So now Git will track who is committing. Okay, who is committing these files. Now Git will track these files. Okay, like which user is committing this file. Okay, just go ahead and enter these 2 commands. After that, as I said, start working on it. Just create one file. So whenever you create any file, you should add that file. And then you should use this command, git commit -m you should provide one message. Say added file 1. That's it, sir. So only this is what the working style of Git. Go ahead and create a new file and add that file, and then commit that file. These three are the basic commands with a message. Okay, clear, sir? Here, commit now. So now it said done. Okay, previously I haven't configured the user details. Now I have configured the user details and then I have done git commit. Observe, sir. Currently I am having only one file, right? Currently I am having one file. Let's say tomorrow again I have started creating one more file. I have started creating one more file. Let's say file 2. I have started creating one more file. Let's say something I have written. Okay, some code I have written. As you know that if you create any new file, what you need to do? You need to do this command git add file 2. Now you said that please start tracking of file 2. Git add file 2, and then you need to do git commit -m. Let's say second commit. Observe, sir. So currently, how many files are there? File 1, file 2, right? So I have committed both the files. Okay, committing means I'm adding these files to my local repository. Okay, now if you want to track, okay, how many commits that you have done, or when you have committed, you can use this command git log. Okay, I'm saying that git log. So for each and every commit, you will get one random ID. Okay, so it shows that who has committed this code. Okay, the person's name and mail ID. This is what we have configured previously by using git config -global. Okay, and when I have committed the timestamp, and I have added something like git commit -m, right? I have added some message before committing, right? Okay, that message I can see over here. Okay, observe, sir. Here, this is what the second commit. Okay, so for the second commit, I have got one commit ID. Okay, and then who has committed this one, and then when he has committed this one, and what is the commit message? Say second commit. I have done second commit. I should have added file to something like this. Okay, so currently I am having two files in my local machine, right? Now observe it, sir. Okay, this is what the key difference between a directory with a repository. Okay, so as I said, it will maintain different versions, right? So how it will maintain different versions? By using different commit IDs. Okay, now if I want to roll back to the previous commit, sir, when I commit file 1, how many files are there in my current directory? When I commit file 1, how many files are there in my current directory? Only one file, right? When I commit file 2, how many files are there in my local machine? Okay, 2 files are there currently, right? When I commit file 2, I have 2 files in my local machine. Now I want to go to the previous state. Or I want to go to the first commit. Okay, if you want to go to the first commit, just copy the commit ID of the first commit, okay, that means I want to go to the previous version. If within the current version I am having 2 files. If I want to go back to the previous version, okay, where only single file is there, assume that currently this is what the latest version. Okay, this is what the latest version. For this latest version I am having 2 files. Okay, so if you want to go back to the previous version where I am having only one file, how I can go? Just copy the first commit ID, and then say git checkout, and then the commit ID, and then commit ID. Now observe, sir. Now observe, sir. How many files how many files do I have in my local machine? How many times do I have in my local machine now? File 1, right? Okay. Previously, I'm having 2 files. Previously, I'm having 2 files, right? Previously, I'm having 2 files. If you can observe over here, previously I'm having 2 files. Now I'm having only 1 file. That means the entire directory is switched back. Okay, that means I have just went back to the previous version, where within this version I am having only 1 file. Okay, now if you want to again roll back to the current version, if you want to roll back to the current version, okay, so how you can roll back to the current version, where you can have working directory. Okay, so copy the second commit ID. So within the second commit you are having 2 files, right? Within the second commit you are having 2 files, right? So how to go back to the second commit? Again use this command, git check it, git checkout, and then paste it. Now observe, sir, now it is having 2 files or not? I roll out to the current version or not? Okay, so this is how we can roll back to the previous versions of the file and then roll out to the current versions of the file. Okay, so each and every commit will be saved with one commit ID. Okay, so you can get this commit IDs by using git log command. Okay, just take the commit ID, and if you want to roll back to any of the commits, okay, that means you can go to the any of the commits. How to go to any of the commits? By using git checkout. By using git checkout and the commit ID. Okay, sir. Every time you just entering the git commit command, right? Internally, it is taking some snapshots, some images, some snapshots of your directory, of your project directory. Okay, so it will store different snapshots. How to see all the snapshots? By using git log command. Okay, so you will get one snapshot ID like this. Okay, so through this ID, if you want to go to any of the snapshot stage, you can go. Okay, sir, is it clear? Sir, is it clear with everyone? Sir, is it clear? Sir, up to you guys, clear? So what are the 3 commands that you need to remember? First, whenever you add any new file, whenever you add or modify any file, for now just remember this is that whenever you have added any new file, you have created any new file, then you need to add that file to Git. How you need to add? Say git add and then file name. Okay, git add and then file name. Okay, after that you need to enter git commit -m. You need to provide one commit message. Okay, whenever you add git commit command, it will take a snapshot and it will store internally. Okay, after that go ahead and create some other file 2. Okay, so after creating this file, you should add that file to git and then say git commit -m, say added file 2, provide some meaningful information about this commit. Okay, so check how many files do you have in your current machine. You'll be having file 1 and file 2. Two files that you would be having. Say git log command. So you'll be getting 2 commit IDs. You'll be getting all the commit IDs like this. Okay. Now I want to roll back to the previous version. I want to go back to this first commit, where I have only 1 file in my present working directory. Take the commit ID, copy the commit ID, git log. Now I'm writing, sir. Okay. Copy the first commit ID. Copy the commit ID. Okay, you might be confusing. Copy the first ID means first commit ID means you might be taking this one. Okay, not this one. Okay, copy the added file 1 commit ID. I'll write that point, sir. I'll write the point. Okay, copy the added file 1 commit ID. Added file 1 commit ID. After this, git. How to go to the first commit ID? How to go to the previous version? Paste the commit ID here. Okay, and now observe, sir. And now observe. You'll be having only file 1. You'll be having only one file. Okay. Again, if you want to go back to the current state, if you want to roll out to the current version, how you need to roll out? So git checkout. Go ahead and I'll write this point. Copy the added file 2 commit ID from git log command. Okay, and then say git checkout, and then paste the commit ID. Paste the commit ID. Okay. Now you can observe ls, enter this command. Now you can see file 1 and file 2. Yes. Okay. So this is how you can create files. So this is how you can create a directory, and then you can make the directory as. So today what we have learned? We have learned to create a directory for the project and configuring that directory as a source code repository, and then we have created new files, and then we have added that file to Git repository, and then we have committed that files, and then today we have learned how to roll back to the previous versions and as well as the current versions by using git checkout command. Sir, is this clear up to here? Up to here, you guys clear? Sir, up to here, you guys clear? Tomorrow we'll learn some other commands. Okay, this is what from. Okay, this is the first way of doing. Here, as I said, right, we'll be doing in 3 ways. We'll be learning the entire Git in 3 ways. So this is what belongs to the single user purpose, the first way. Okay, this is what belongs to the first way. Okay, just learn these commands for now. Okay, just learn these commands, practice these commands. Okay, if you are good with these commands, then we would be adding some other commands by tomorrow. Okay, so we'll be learning step by step. Right, sir? So that's all for today, sir. And one more important thing, sir. Okay, still there is a chance to join my 6:15 class. If you guys are interested, okay, contact the management on these numbers and you'll get the link. Okay, to attend my 6:15 class. So our 6:15 students, okay, connect immediately right after this class. Okay, at least by 6:25 I'll start that class. Okay, so I'll be pasting the notes into the chat box so that you guys can practice the commands. Okay, so by 6:25 I'll start the class today. I'll start the Ansible class. The guys who are registered for that, just try connecting to that link by 6:25. Okay, so I'm pasting the commands in the chat box. Go ahead and practice these commands. So right, sir, so that's all for today. I've pasted the commands in the chat box. Just copy the commands for practice purpose. Okay, right, sir. Thank you, sir. If anyone wants to join to my DevOps class, which is there by 6:15, okay, contact the management so that you'll get the link. Okay, right, sir. So that's all for today, sir. Bye, sir. Yes. So the registered people, please join through that new link by 6:25 p.m. Okay.